Because if she keep the commandments in all those situations, guess what? She won't feel that evil. All right? So we're to train up our children in the way that they should go. And it says, when he is old, he will not depart from it. She ain't know nothing but to keep the commandments. So when she get older, she ain't gonna know nothing but to keep the commandments. And if she go the opposite way, it wasn't because of the lack of training. Okay? It wasn't for lack of understanding. Go to Wisdom of Solomon real quick. I want to show y'all something. Go to Wisdom of Solomon chapter 3. And read verse. I want you to start at verse. I want you to start at verse 10.
Wisdom of Solomon chapter 3 verse 10. But the ungodly shall be punished according to their own imagination.
So the things that the ungodly can concoct, the sin that's within the ungodly, they're going to be punished by that. Right? Come on.
Which have neglected the righteous and forsaken the Lord.
So they neglected the righteous and forsook the Lord. Read.
For whoso despises wisdom and nurture, he is miserable.
So that brother that despised wisdom and nurture, God says you're miserable. Why? I got a question. Why do we think the brother or sister that despised wisdom and what it says, wisdom and nurture, why are they miserable? Why are they miserable? Those that despise wisdom and nurture, why are they miserable? Y'all can answer to it if y'all know.
As when you continue reading, it tells you that their labors will be unfruitful. So no matter what they do, they won't bring forth anything.
Okay, so it says, say that one more time.
Their labors unfruitful and their works are unprofitable.
Okay, so their labors are unfruitful, their works are unprofitable. Okay, that's why they're miserable, right?
Right.
So give me an example. Give me an example today. Give me an example of the miserable brothers and sisters today that hate wisdom and nurture. Give me an example. Sister Ma said because there's no light in them. Yeah, definitely because there's no light in them.
They have no knowledge of their heritage.
They have no knowledge of their heritage, i.e. no knowledge of God.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they're not training their children up in the way that they should go. So when they get older, they should not depart from it.
Mm-hmm.
So they have no knowledge, not in God's will, no peace of mind, because they're going through hell. Exactly. Man, these sisters on point, man. All y'all on point on the Lord Sabbath, man. All praises, man. No peace of mind. Okay? Because you're going through it. We're going through it. The children, the children are whorish, our brothers and sisters, they're getting put to death. All these things is going on, man. All these things are happening. All these things are happening. They're miserable. They're going through it. Why? Because they hate wisdom and nurture. They think showing them love is doing something that's sinful with them. Celebrating the holiday or some garbage. All right? Come on.
I'm going to read from the top again. For whoso despises wisdom and nurture, he is miserable, and their hope is vain.
It says It says he's miserable and his hope is in vain. He's miserable and his hope is in vain. Come on.
Their labor is unfruitful.
So everything that they do is unfruitful. Everything that they do is unproductive. It's no good or nothing good that's coming of that. Come on.
And their works unprofitable.
And all of their works profitable. Everything that they do, everything that they commit themselves to do, is unprofitable. Okay? Unprofitable. Read.
Their wives are foolish.
Their wives are what?
Foolish.
Their wives are foolish. So if their wives are foolish, what the hell are they teaching the children? What are they teaching the children? They ain't teaching them nothing. Okay? The wives are foolish. Come on.
And their children wicked.
And their children wicked. Why? Because they have none understanding. They don't fear God. They're not of the same mind. They're not of one accord. They're not keeping the commandments of the Most High God. All right? Read that one more time.
Verse 12.
Yeah.
Their wives are foolish and their children wicked.
Verse 11 and 12 together, if you could, please, brother.
For whoso despises wisdom and nurture, he is miserable, and their hope is vain.
So those that despise nurture and wisdom, God said that they're miserable and their hope is vain. Come on.
Their labor is unfruitful, and their works unprofitable.
So their labors, their works, unfruitful and unprofitable. Come on.
Their wives are foolish, and their children wicked.
Wow. Their wives are foolish and their children is wicked. Why? Because their children have no training, no understanding of who they are, no understanding of their heritage. They know Christmas more than they know about the Lord's high holy days. They know rap lyrics more than they know about the scriptures, the verses of the Bible. So are we really training up our children in the way that we should go? No. But guess what? That's a commandment or responsibility of the men. Give me that in 1 Timothy. 1 Timothy chapter 3. Chapter 3. Yeah, you can read verse 1.
1 Timothy chapter 3, verse 1. This is a true saying. If a man desires the office of a bishop,
so if a man is a good work, that's a very good work. Come on.
A bishop then must be blameless, the husband of one wife, vigilant, sober, and of good behavior, given to hospitality, and apt to teach.
So given to hospitality and apt to teach. Come on.
Not given to wine, nor striker, not greedy of filthy lucre.
So not given to wine, you're not a drunkard, you're not a striker, you're not given to filthy lucre. Come on.
But patient, not a brawler, not covetous.
So these are attributes that we all gotta exhibit. All of us, kings and priests, gotta bring forth. Come on.
One that ruleth well his own house.
One that does what?
Ruleth well his own house.
One that does what?
Ruleth well his own house.
So it has to be one that ruleth well his own house. We all got to rule our house well, right? Come on.
Having his children in subjection with all gravity.
So having our children in subjection, to be in subject to something, means under control with all gravity, with all seriousness. That's how you should have your children. I should never hear, oh, my child is my best friend. If your child can be your best friend, does that mean your child is in subjection with all gravity?
No.
It means they can do whatever the hell they want to do because y'all friends. It says, read that one more time. Now I'm reading to you brothers, our responsibility as men. It's our responsibility to have these attributes within us. Not brawlers, not given to wine, not given to filthy lucre or drunkards. Ruling well our own house. This is a requirement for all you men. This is our responsibility. Come on.
One that ruleth well his own house.
Ruling
his children in subjection with all gravity.
Ruling well your own house, having your children in subjection with all gravity, is providing for them. Providing for your children ain't just financial, brothers and sisters. Having them in subjection with all seriousness within your house, that's providing for them. Come on.
For if a man know not how to rule his own house.
So if you don't know, if you have no clue how to rule your own house, okay, as we read earlier in Wisdom of Solomon, when that's the case, It says your wives are foolish. What did Wisdom of Solomon say again? Wisdom of Solomon 3?
The wives are foolish and their children wicked.
So if you don't know how to rule your own house, remember it says those that despise wisdom and nurture. Okay? Those that don't know how to rule their own house. They despise the wisdom of God. They're ruling their house how Big Mama and how their mama used to raise them. Not how the Most High God instructs us. Okay? It says, their wives are foolish and their children are wicked. Jump back.
1 Timothy chapter 3, verse 5. For if a man know not how to rule his own house, how shall he take care of the church of God?
So, him establishing his household, ruling his household was having them being subject, his children subject with all gravity. He gotta learn how to deal with his own household and locking his children down before he can deal with the church of God. Helping them deal with situations, locking them down. To the point where they understand the laws, statutes, and commandments that's required of them. Okay? Read it again.
For if a man know not how to rule his own house, how shall he take care of the church of God?
So if he can't rule his own house, can he take care of the church of God?
No, possible.
If he's not training up his child in the way that they should go, can he train up anybody in the church of God?
No.
If his wife is foolish, can he give any woman guidance in the church of God?
No.
No. Come on, man. This easy. This easy stuff right here. This simple. Listen, I want y'all to understand something, man. I'm gonna give y'all some examples as to why we need to train our children up. Ben Zion, could you pull up I want the school to prison pipeline first. Not the video, the actual article. Matter of fact, pull up the video first. Grab the video for me first. Grab the video first. Yep. Hit skip trial for me. Hit that skip trial. Let me make the screen a little bigger. You got to cut the speakers up too.
Your child was placed in handcuffs for crying at school. Well, this was a reality for a 7-year-old black boy in Missouri, and it isn't rare for black and brown kids across the country. Whether it's getting arrested for talking back or moving on the desk, in-school policing is harming students by taking them out of school and helping funnel them to prison. It's called the school to prison pipeline. We're talking about a structure of closing punishments that criminalizes kids as early as preschool and increases their chances of ending up in the criminal justice system. 99% of New York City school children who were handcuffed in 2016 were black or Latinx. This happens when the school resource officers are called into classrooms to discipline students, sometimes for something as small as violating a dress code or grabbing candy from a teacher's desk. If the offense doesn't lead to an arrest, black and brown students are still subject to harsher punishments than white students. Black students are 4 times more likely to be suspended than their white peers. Sometimes students are kicked out of school for basically just being black. Like in cases across the country where black girls were suspended for rocking rose or an apple. So, where do students go after they've been kicked out of school? Research shows they're 3 times more likely to end up in the juvenile justice system within a year. This is all part of an endless cycle. Once kids touch the juvenile justice system, they're 67% more likely to end up in jail again before they're 25. So, what lessons are schools and police really teaching our kids here? How can kids excel in school if they're always being kicked out of them?
So that video right there makes some key points. All right. one key point made was our children are affected by the school to prison pipeline system from what grade? Preschool. Being locked up for crying too much. Being locked up because you have a certain hairstyle, because your skin color. We got to prepare our children for that. If you're going to put them in an environment, they got to be prepared for that, man. Now, I got a question. How many brothers and sisters are really preparing their children for preschool? Dealing with white supremacy in preschool. They trying to figure. I can say none. What they're trying to do, they're trying to figure out. Stop sharing your screen, brother. They're more so trying to figure out what their children gonna wear for the week, what they're gonna eat for the week, packing their school lunch in their bag, not preparing them properly for school. The school to prison pipeline starts in pre-K. Think about what we just heard. Preschool, that's when it starts. All right. If you could grab the article now, the school to prison pipeline article. I want y'all to see how this thing works. Let me know when you got it up. All right, it says, there was a warrant out for my arrest until last year because I skipped school one time in 12th grade. For 6+ years, they reassigned my case to several different judges. Now, this sister right here, she's been out of high school for 6 years. 6+ years. And they kept reassigning her case to different judges. Okay? Trying to lock this sister up for skipping class one time in the 12th grade. Trying to put her in jail for skipping class one time in the 12th grade. Does that make sense? It says, scroll down. Woman had arrest warrant out for years because she skipped school once in 12th grade. A recent viral story about Grace, a teen who was sent to juvenile detention because she didn't finish her her schoolwork during the pandemic, has reignited conversations about the school to prison pipeline and the racism inherent in our education system. Black kids and other kids of color are often disciplined in the legal system rather than the school system. So if you're gonna send your children to the school system, you better damn well prepare them for what's to come. Because they're gonna deal with them or discipline them in the legal system rather than the actual school system. Which means that they get stuck in a vicious cycle of legal trouble that is extremely hard to get out of. Because when you got these things on your record, you can't necessarily get a job like that. When you got different things on your record, they stay there. Okay. Scroll down. It says, on the heels of that story, one Twitter user who goes by D shared her own experience with the school to prison pipeline in a viral thread. Her story demonstrates that even extremely minor offenses that would never get a white kid in serious trouble can follow a black person for years, even after they exit the school system. So this is 6+ years after this sister then graduated. She done went to college, got a degree, okay? And this could have affected her career 6+ years later. Y'all preparing y'all children for this, man? I hope so. There was a warrant, Miss Lyons, there was a warrant out for my arrest until last year because I skipped school one time in the 12th grade. For 6+ years, they reassigned my case to several different judges. The school to prison pipeline is very real, and DPS is a hub because of its high population of poor black people. They're skipping school once in the 12th grade, and she was charged with truancy. Because of that charge, there was a warrant out for her arrest for years that she didn't even know about. So had she got stopped by police, had she had a minor infraction, anything, she would have been locked up for this warrant for her arrest for truancy. And she was out of school for 6+ years. All right? It says, after all, who would expect to get arrested for playing hooky? She writes that she only learned about the warrant for her arrest when she was in a car accident, and the officer who responded to the scene told her about it. The only reason he couldn't arrest her is because it was out of his jurisdiction. So he would have arrested her. He would have took her to jail for truancy, and she was already out of, man, she was 6+ years removed from high school. This is how they get us. These are the things that we got to prepare our children for. These are the things that we got to train up our child to understand. Okay? Scroll down. It says, I didn't even know there was a warrant until I got hit by a car, and the police I called to help me told me that I was lucky I was out of jurisdiction because he would have arrested me. So the police, she in a damn car accident. She calling for help. The police said, you lucky you out of my jurisdiction because I would have arrested you. Y'all see that? Scroll down. It says, I called the court to see why I had a warrant for my arrest. By this point, I was in my 2nd year of grad school. This sister is in grad school. Her 2nd year. 6+ years removed from high school. They said it was from my truancy ticket in 2011. I said I can come in to fix it. The lady said if you come in, you will be arrested. Y'all see? She trying to fix the garbage. They told her if she came in, you're going to be arrested. Come on, man. So she said she was in grad school when she learned of the warrant for arrest from high school, and she was told that if she couldn't fix it. If she tried, she'd be arrested. So what does one do in a situation like that? Well, D just sort of had to live with it and hope that she never landed in a situation where the arrest could be carried out. So she had to live with this warrant for her arrest. 6+ years removed from high school. Y'all see that? That's crazy, man. That's crazy. For truancy. So she said, so I said, F that, and never went in. She said, hey, the hell with that. I'm never going in. She said, I was going to attempt to fix it again last year, and I don't know why or how after 6+ years, they decided to close it, but it was gone. So out of nowhere, she called up there again to talk about this ticket, and miraculously it's closed. After 6+ years. She ain't did nothing, so now it's closed. But the sheer ridiculousness of the entire thing is something I think about all the time. Okay? So, if you could, that's it, brother. So, that's an example of the school to prison pipeline. They're prepping our children already from pre-K, all the way to high school, all the way to college, to go from school to prison. And it's a continual cycle that they're setting up and establishing amongst our people. I don't know if y'all heard in the clip, it says the blacks and Latinx or whatever they call them. It's the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. We're affected by this. Us alone. The school to prison pipeline. Okay? My question to you brothers and sisters is, are y'all preparing y'all children for this? Are y'all preparing y'all children for this? I'm willing to bet. I'm not a real betting man. I'm willing to bet majority of us aren't. Could you pull up that Washington Post article for me, brother? Watch this. This the mindset of some of our people right here. Pull up that Washington Post article for me. This it right here. Make it big. Make it big. The title of this article, and this is the mind of our people right here. A lot of our people. I taught my black kids that their elite upbringing will protect them from discrimination. I was wrong. Y'all see that? He told his black kids that their elite upbringing will protect them from discrimination. And this is written in 2014. All right? I'm gonna read it fast. Lawrence Otis Graham is an attorney in New York and the author of 14 books, including Our Kind of People and The Senator and the Socialite. So he's an acclaimed writer, a lawyer, an attorney in New York. You know this brother making some bread. He's rubbing shoulders with the elites. He's rubbing shoulders with those that say that they're Jews and are not. Okay? He said, I knew the day would come, but I didn't know how it would happen, where I would be, or how I would respond. It is the moment that every black parent fears, the day their child is called a nigga. Y'all see that right there? My wife and I, both African Americans, constitute one of those type A couples with Ivy League undergraduate and graduate degrees who, for many years, believed that if we worked hard and maintained great jobs, we could insulate our children from the blatant manifestation of bigotry that we experienced as children in the 1960s and 70s. Man, they're the smartest dummies I ever seen in my life. Ain't nothing worse than a smart dumb nigga. Nothing. It's nothing worse than a smart dumb nigga. I'm telling you. And he was mad because his children was called that. Well, we'll call that in the Bible. It's okay. Okay. We divided our lives between a house in a liberal New York suburb and an apartment on Park Avenue. So you know they had some bread. You know who they was living amongst. The suburbs of New York and an apartment on Park Avenue. That's some money right there. Sent our 3 kids to a diverse New York City private school, outfitted them with accoutrements of success, preppy clothes, perfect dictation, and the air of quiet graciousness. Man, they were so amazing. They wake up in the morning, they piss excellence. That's how good these kids were. They made sure they had the best of the best education. They dressed the best, the preppy look, all that. You know what? You listen. I don't care how well you clothe us. Our skin color is still going to show forth. I don't care what clothes you wear. Okay? He said, we convinced ourselves that the economic privilege we bestowed on them could buffer these adolescents against what so many black and Latino children face while living in mostly white settings. Being profiled by neighbors, followed in stores, and stopped by police simply because their race makes them suspect. But it happens nevertheless in July when I was 100 miles away. It was a Tuesday afternoon when my 15-year-old son called from his academic summer program at a leafy New England boarding school and told me that as he was walking across campus, a gray Acura with the broken right taillight pulled up beside him. 2 men leaned out the car and glared at him. Are you the only nigga at Mellon Academy? They said, are you the only nigga at Mellon Academy? One shouted. Certain that he had not heard them correctly, my son moved closer to the curb and asked politely, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Could you say that a little clearer? Can you call me a nigger a little clearer? Come on, man. But he had heard him correctly. It says, and this time the man spoke more clearly. Only nigger, he said with an added emphasis. My son froze. So listen. So if your child is trained up properly, they'll know how to react in this situation. Let's see how the elite who shower their children in preppy clothes and in perfect dictation, let's see how their children act. My son froze. He dropped his book bag in alarm and stepped back from the idling car. Written like a straight author. Y'all see that? Y'all see that? He froze and dropped his book bag and stepped back from the idling car. The men honked the horn loudly and drove off, their laughter echoing behind them. By the time he recounted his experience a few minutes later, my son was back in his dorm room, ensconced on the 3rd floor of a red brick fortress. He grasped the meaning of the story as he told it. So he didn't even understand what the hell happened to him. He trying to grasp what happened to him. He wasn't prepared. He thought he was one of them. Listen to how I talk. You see my dress? This is Brooks Brothers. Brothers Brooks. Come on, man. By the time he recounted his experience a few minutes later, my son was back in his dorm room, ensconced on the 3rd floor of a red brick fortress. He tried to grasp the meaning of the story as he told it. When the men chose to stop him, why they did it in broad daylight. So he asked him, why did they stop me? Why did they do it in broad daylight? Why they were so calm and deliberate? Why would they do that to me? He's asking himself that question. Why would they do that to me? Don't they see the clothes that I'm wearing? Don't they know that my father's this high-priced dollar lawyer? You don't know I've been to Private school after private school? We got millions. And you gonna talk to me like this? That's when he froze and dropped his book bag. Okay. He said he whispered breathlessly into the phone, "Dad, they don't know me. And they weren't acting drunk. It's just 3:30 in the afternoon. They could see me. And I could see them." My son rambled on, describing the car and the men, asking questions that I couldn't completely answer. One very clear and cognate query was, why? In Connecticut in 2014, grown men would target a student who wasn't bothering them to harass in broad daylight. The men intended to be menacing. They got so close, like they were trying to ask directions. They were definitely trying to scare me, he said. "Are you okay?" I interrupted. "Are you?" "Yeah," he continued anxiously. "I'm okay, I guess." "Do you think they saw which dorm I went back to?" This is a question. Do you think which dorm room they saw I went back to? Maybe I shouldn't have told my roommate. Should I stay in my dorm and not go to the library tonight? So this dude's scared now. Now he's trying to figure out, should I go? Should I leave the dorm room? What should I do? These are things that we got to prep our children to know before they even happen. We got to let them know the world hates you. They hate your guts because you're rich, as we read in Revelations 2:9. You're rich. They mad at your riches. And we ain't talking about monetarily. We're talking about the covenant and the promises of the Most High God. They hate your guts because of that. Let's scroll down. Despite his reluctance, I insisted that he report the incident to the school. His chief concern was not wanting the white students and administration to think of him as being special, different, or racial. Do y'all hear that? Do y'all hear? He didn't want to report it because he didn't want his white students and the administration to think of him as being special, different, or racial. That was his word. If the other kids around here find out that I was called a nigger and that I complained about it, my son pleaded, then they will call me racial and will be thinking about race every time they see me. I can't have that. Well, I'm sorry, little whatever your name is. They're going to think about you that way anyway. Okay? For the next 4 weeks of the summer program, my son remained leery of cars that slowed in his proximity. Now this dude got post-traumatic stress syndrome. He got PTSD now. Every car that slow down, he's looking, he's scared, he's afraid. Why? Because his high-priced lawyer of a father, attorney, didn't prepare his son for the trials and tribulations that's going on in this world, man. And he loves the knowledge. Listen, this is evident. They love the knowledge of this world and think that money can change the situation. It can't. They love the knowledge of this world. That's why his wife is foolish and his children is wicked. They don't know the Most High God, nor do they care to know him. They think that how they dress and how they speak means something. It don't mean a damn thing, man. And this is what our people of influence is teaching their children. The people that don't have no doggone money is pushing them to the heathen to teach them. Doing far worse. Okay? Says he avoided sidewalks, choosing instead to walk on campus lawns, and he worried continually about being perceived as racially or odd or different. Do y'all see that? He didn't want to seem racial, odd, or different. Let's sit on that, brother. He didn't want to seem racial, odd, or different. Are we not different? Are we not special? Can you get Deuteronomy 7 for me? Deuteronomy 7, verse 6. I feel the need to read this. I feel compelled to read this. Especially if we got any brothers and sisters that have the mindset of these parents right here. These parents failed them. They failed their children. They failed to... If you don't, you're doing them a disservice. The mere imparting of information is not education.